crypto warriors, changing our world day by day. The way of the crypto warriors, can't rely on the bankers, no way.
Good morning, Bix Weir, roadrunner.com with your morning horn as your sip of chagagavi. I wanted to talk about my favorite crypto, Theta, a little bit this morning because we're back at that moment in time where you got to load up. Here's my take on, I think silver will be the first to go ballistic as the world falls apart. And when it goes, it'll assist in taking down the bad guys, which means the whole thing's going to go to shit. Cryptos will not do well during that time. Well, you won't even know because there will be no exchanges open. You won't be able to buy Theta. You could do swaps, maybe, if parts of the internet are still up and running. Remember that. This is a gigantic change, taking down the monetary system. So you might see Theta at 4 cents again. That's the last time I issued this type of exciting warning. But you won't be able to buy any. If the exchanges aren't open, you can't get any. Might be able to do swaps, but there'll be plenty of issues. Now, the reason, so you might say, why invest in it, Bix? If it's going down with everything else and everything's crashing, why invest in anything right now? Because you are investing for after the crash. Not now, not during the crash, but after the crash. Anything you invest in. I mean, they could put the price of silver to minus $40. They could put the price of Theta to minus $40. After the crash is what's important. What is the world going to look like after the crash? Think no more SEC, no more banks, no more government, no more stocks and bonds. Everything's going to be screwed up. And it's going to take a while to rebuild it. Theta will be a gigantic part of that rebuilding because everything will have to be decentralized after that because everybody will lose trust in these criminals that run our lives right now. Just keep that in mind. So yes, number one is silver. Get physical silver in your possession. With cryptos, my number one is Theta because I do believe after this hiccup, we are going to move into a completely decentralized high-tech future. What is Theta? It's not YouTube, by the way. I heard somebody say, yeah, Theta's just like a shitty YouTube. It's not. It never even tried to be YouTube. You're missing the whole point if you think that Theta has anything to do with YouTube. Yes, they have Theta TV, which is like a test net for Theta protocol. So what is Theta? It's the metaverse. Literally, they are laying the railroad tracks for the metaverse. So let's just talk about the infrastructure of Theta. Theta Web3 API application protocol interface. That's how computers talk to each other. Lower cost for encode store and video delivery. This is a content delivery network. Now, this current, the way our world has worked over the last 20 years is like Netflix will send all its video over to the content delivery network in each area that it's streaming from. So the big cities. So they've had to have infrastructure or pay people. The CDNs are like Googles and things like that. Pay people to put out their videos in local areas. This is the problem that Theta is solving. They call it the last mile problem because everything obviously gets all bundled up. Nothing's stored there. The way it's done is you share your bandwidth with other people on the network, and it's not even just entire movies type of thing. The way it's done behind the scenes, it's like they'll share fractions of the amount of information downloaded, and if the Theta nodes are not able to take the whole thing, it instantly goes back to the regular CDN. So it doesn't save you money, it's going to go back to the CDN. Now, that's a little complicated. These guys know what they're doing. They have 12 patents, by the way. 12 patents already. They're expecting 50 in the next couple of years. So all these companies that are going to try to build their infrastructure, they're going to have to go through Theta first. And Theta will look at it and say, is this our competition? How will this help us? Blah, blah, blah. Theta Labs. Then they invented this thing called the meta chain. Now, Theta is a proof of stake network, but it's kind of an augmented proof of stake. They have validator nodes, which is like the Googles and the big names. And they're the ones who can do instant transactions. I mean, Theta transactions are just about instant. And then, just so that this group of validators don't mess with the blockchain, there's the guardians. I run a guardian node. There's thousands of guardian nodes. And what they do is check the work of the validators. So you have instant transactions, and then if anything screws up, instantly the guardians check that work and make sure they aren't messing up. So it's not what, things like EOS and stuff like that. It's not that. It's something completely different, because EOS would be just the validators. No, we don't want that kind of concentration. So yeah, very safe, very fast. Anybody who's used Theta knows instant, and Theta Fuel is like the currency used within the Theta community. All right, then they have this thing called the meta chain. So they built the software and they've patented their invention. So Apple, who doesn't have a blockchain, who isn't that involved with the blockchain at all, can go to set up their own. They don't even have to go to Theta. They can set up their own blockchain on the Theta network, be approved by this amazing invention of the validators and the guardians, and have instant transactions in an Apple blockchain. So imagine a company. One key thing about blockchains is you don't want to be the controller of the blockchain. You want a decentralized blockchain. Apple can set up an Apple blockchain on the Theta network. So Apple's not in charge. They have no say in if the transactions are approved, but they have say in how many coins are created and things like that. They have full control of their monetary blockchain. And it's not just Apple. Netflix can do it. Anybody can do it. You can do it. You can create your own blockchain in their metachain. That's what was invented. And what Theta, and by the way, for use of that, the T-Fuel is used for transactions, will be used for transactions on all that. So T-Fuel, keep an eye on T-Fuel, by the way. So yeah, the metachain, perfect invention for the corporates of the world. Just think of all the people who are already invested in Theta. Sony, Samsung, Google. Just go down the list. There's like 1 million of them already. They can start their own blockchains, start their own little community there. And then NFTs with direct rights management is huge for the entertainment industry. And they've partnered with some of the biggest entertainment people in the world. Katy Perry's on there. I mean, I'm not a Katy Perry fan, but she has a lot of fans, by the way. But it's the companies that CSA is one of their big ones. It's like manages all the careers for the crazy Hollywood people. I know. Don't get me started. Anyway, NFTs are already big on Theta. They're one of the best. But Theta is very conservative because they know the U.S. is looking to ding anybody. Any crypto company that they can get their hands on, they're going to go after them. That's why Theta never ICO'd. That's going to be huge. Never ICO'd. If the system stays in place, the SEC will take out anybody who ICO'd. Theta never ICO'd. The other things, you have Global Edge Node to share bandwidth and storage and computing to earn rewards. You have the enterprise validators, global leaders to secure and govern the network. And then obviously the meta chain is customizable, highly scalable blockchain for your Web3 business. That's the main guts of the infrastructure. It's got nothing to do with YouTube. There is a Theta TV under Web 3.0 API. Theta never had a vision of Theta TV taking over YouTube. It's got nothing to do with it. They just test stuff out. And I know a lot of people who do use the Theta TV. I don't think it will ever get that big. There's no reason to. They have plenty going on, trust me. Anyway, go check out Theta. Right now it is trading at 73 cents. And here's why I think it's important, this 70 cent range. If you look at Theta came around in 2019, never ICO'd. They got private investors. But you look at when did Theta really start running up? It's right here at 70, 68, 72 cents. Back in December of 2020. that's when it really started just firing away and then just parabolic. Yes, did it go too far too fast? Yes. But remember, there was an artificial bear market induced by Gary Gensler, the SEC, and the U.S. government. And during this time in here, that's when Gary Gensler and friends were letting people and actually encouraging people to invest in DeFi, knowing that it was all a fraud. That they could take down DeFi in a blink of an eye, and that's what they did starting in 2021. And that's why we're in this artificial bear market for cryptos, is because Gary Gensler, number one, let people get in by not giving any regulation at all. As a matter of fact, people at the SEC were encouraging it. People at the SEC were going into cryptos, leaving the SEC and going into cryptos and saying, this is it. This is the way. The politicians were all in support of it through FTX and all that. And then they pulled the plug. All part of the plan. All right. So we are back now at the 70 cents range. I don't know what's going to happen to all prices during the crash. I have no idea. It doesn't really matter because they're not real. But now is the time you have to get them in your own possession, because when the world wakes up after the destruction, everybody's going to try to rebuild using Web 3.0. It will be the only way to do it, truthfully, because you can't trust any of our leaders anymore. They'll all be exposed in jail and all that. So that's my take. That's my reasoning for having significant amounts of Theta. Now, if you're not crypto savvy, you can get Theta. You can call Caleb and Brown. Caleb and Brown is a crypto broker that'll do it all for you. I highly suggest after you buy a crypto, get it in your own possession. So go to roadtoroot.com under affiliates, click on affiliates, and you go down to the bottom. A bunch of great affiliates, by the way. Caleb and Brown right here, and then it'll show you how to get in touch with them. It's got a little video on what's going on with it. It's kind of old video, but go check it out. And you'll save money using the Road to Root discount code, Bix Weir, all one word. All right? So go check that out. Another way, mind you, Theta has not been allowed to trade on Coinbase yet, by the way. When that happens, you got 300 million more users ready to go and buy as much Theta as possible. You can also get Theta. If you currently have cryptos, you can swap it on SimpleSwap. SimpleSwap.io, a great place to swap cryptos. You can swap 1 ETH will get you 2,490 Theta right now. So go check that out. I'm a huge fan of Theta. It is the future. In the present, who knows? Who knows? All cryptos will follow Bitcoin. And it's not because people invest more money because Bitcoin's going up. No, it's because they use Bitcoin to buy the other cryptos. So that's why everything follows Bitcoin, is that Bitcoin is like the form of currency for all the altcoins. It's crazy, I know. All right, quick update on silver. Here's what's happening. As you can see, very similar to what went on here with all the moving averages. This time it was just about a week. It hovered on the bottom. We're looking at that. I'm not saying they can't drive the price to minus $40. I don't know how it's going to go down. I do know that the good guys are winning this game, and with the click of a mouse, the good guys could drive silver to $10,000, $100, $1 million. It's all rigged. and by the way, people always ask me, do you want Trump to get in again? I would say I don't think there's going to be an election, first of all. But I do know that when Trump was in, we didn't have freedom. We had simulated freedom. And what simulated freedom is, it looked, everything was going great. The economy was booming. The economy was rigged. That's not freedom. A rigged economy is not freedom. Yeah, Trump was better at rigging than the rest of them. Big deal. It's still not freedom. Let that sink in. Just because he was a better rigger than everybody else doesn't mean that he was a strong proponent of freedom. And again, he had to do what he had to do to get rid of the bad guys. And that's still in process, by the way. And he will go down as the best president we've ever had in history. There's no doubt about it. When people know what he did, even the crazy liberals, when they understand what was being done, especially to the children, and how he did his best and did a very good job at taking a lot of them down, and still more going on in the background right now. We will look back at and see President Trump as the number one best president we've ever had, because he had to deal with the most. The criminality, the fraud, the unbelievable evil that was running our world, both on the Democrat side and the Republican side. And I do believe he did take him down, and it's just a matter of time now. Now, will he come back as president? I would support him. Well, obviously, if it goes to the election, you got two choices, and you notice they haven't stopped electronic voting yet. It's so funny. The winner of the election is who can rig best. The United States Postal Service did get a patent on a blockchain voting methodology that would work. And that was before the 2016 election, by the way. Before the 2020 election. No, it might have been 2000. Yeah, it was 2016, right before they got approval on a patent. It's a great way to do it, and it will be the future of voting. But right now, nobody wants to put it in place because there's battles still going on behind the scenes. Anyway, let's talk about the coming days and weeks. This from Seeking Alpha, updated second quarter list of banks and their massive paper losses on their debt securities holdings. So the same thing that happened at the beginning of the year, remember in March when all the banks started going under? The same thing is happening, and by the way, it's worse. Here's a little update. It says most banks on this list had even larger total unrealized losses at the end of the second quarter compared to the first quarter. With interest rates moving higher, the unrealized losses may continue to increase in Q3. BTF lending program to distressed banks has reduced much of the March bank. BTFP is the bank bailout that the Fed's giving. I think it's $100 billion now, or I think it's more than $100 billion. So let's look at. First of all, we all know Treasury yields they cooled off a little in the second quarter, but they're blowing up again. And we will see what happens. The FDIC announces just how bad the banks are at the end of this month. But some of the big banks' unrealized losses in bank security portfolios. There's the securities portfolio, and then don't forget about commercial real estate. That's going to be the killer when they actually have to. And I think they're at the point where these assets are so massively distressed, they're going to have to say what the market value is on especially on commercial real estate derivatives. And that's going to get really ugly. So here's specific banks, and here's how much they lost. Unrealized loss, mind you, but they lost. Citigroup right now has unrealized losses of $28.7 billion with a B. $28.7 billion. No. Yep. And let's see here. JP Morgan, our favorite bank, has unrealized losses of $40.2 billion. Now they have a massive asset base as well, over $3 trillion, but still, they have, it looks like the largest unrealized losses, but let's keep going. Let's see what the other banks are doing. Wells Fargo, $46 billion. Wells Fargo's in deep shit. $46.6 billion of unrealized losses as of June 30th. This is the number that's going to be announced at the FDIC meeting. Bank of America, $109 billion. At some point, you just say, what the hell? $109 billion for Bank of America. Yes, Bank of America is that massive silver short right now. They could be the sacrificial lamb. Zions Bank, I've been talking about Zions Bank for a long time. I have no idea how they're still in business. They have total unrealized loss of $1.2 billion. But they're a smaller bank and have a lot of other, $1.6 billion. Gone from 1.2 to 1.6. And 1.2 was the first quarter. So they're really hurting. Zions Bank. Keep an eye on Zions Bank. Remember that name. Truist Financial, $22 billion. Not as big a bank, but with a huge unrealized loss. And then New York Bank Mellon, $11 billion. Comerica, $3 billion. Financial One Corp, or Capital One Financial Corp, $10 billion. PNC, $9 billion. All these are going to add up. I think if it's over $600 billion, $600 billion was the first quarter. Or no, that was December of last year, when everyone's like, "Oh my God, where are these unrealized losses coming?" They're coming from because these banks hold treasury notes, and as the interest rates rise, the value of the note that's on their books declines, and a lot of them are like worth 50%. Imagine buying a security, thinking, "Oh yeah, I'm buying the safest investment in the world, the T-bill," and then having its value be cut in half over a matter of like a year or two. You're like, "Oh shit, I thought it was like cash." It's not, because competition for T-bills grows, means that they have to pay more, a higher percentage rate, and the Fed raised the rates. Nobody wants your T-bill anymore that was paying out 2%. And a lot loses like 50% of its value. It's crazy how this game works. But of course, it was all a setup to destroy the system. In conclusion, this article is aimed at a very broad audience of those interested in massive unrealized losses at many banks. Often my articles focus on a very narrow audience of those with expertise in technicalities related with Chapter 11. By the way, let's talk Chapter 11. How about WeWork? So WeWork comes out, has an earnings call, and says, "We're in deep shit. We might have to declare bankruptcy. All their top executives are leaving." And the stock drops to just pennies, and all of a sudden it rockets up on some rumor that it's going to be dealt with the same way GameStop is. The Wall Street Bets people are coming to save WeWork and are going to run the bankers into the ground. That's ridiculous. WeWork shares rocket and get the meme stock treatment. Did streaming networks attacking the company inspire a rally cry? This rally will disintegrate next week. Disintegrate. Shares of co-working space WeWork, up 10%, have been incredibly volatile over the week, following an update from the company that rattled the stock. After shares fell sharply, retail traders got behind the stock and could be trying to push the shares back over $1. There's an obvious difference between what was going on at GameStop and what's going on at WeWork. WeWork, the vast majority of its debt is in commercial real estate. A massive amount, $47 billion. And shares were up 130% in a single trading day. They're saying, "Oh yeah, GameStop will do the same thing. Wall Street Bets will do the same thing." Why won't it work? Because WeWork only had 3% short position. 3%. The only reason GameStop worked is you trap these criminal serial shorters, destroyers of companies. They were short 130%, so they had to buy. There's no one who has to buy WeWork shares. 3%, that's nothing. So, yeah, good luck making money off a GameStop type of move at WeWork. I mean, you're going to see people get destroyed so fast. I don't even know how this, it's probably someone who's trying to dump that 3% short that wanted to get out that was causing these, it's the same as the Wall Street Bets. We'll get everybody to do it. Well, everybody did it, and it worked because these criminal riggers were short 130% of all shares floated. I mean, all shares out there, they're short 100% of them plus 30%. Yes, that's the way our markets work. So, yeah, any kind of WeWork, GameStop scenario will die on the vine. I'm surprised it even got started, but next week it'll be over. Which means GameStop goes into bankruptcy. I would say sometimes next week they'll have to pull the trigger, unless there's some angel investor that comes out of the sky again for them with a hell of a lot of cash to bail them out. Let's see. It's not every day that investors see a company once valued over $47 billion hit a market cap closer to $250 million. It's also rare to see a company that was once valued at $47 billion to have shares pop 130% during a day. Now, that was just after it crashed down to almost zero, so it's easy to go to 130% up if it's close to zero. A filing from the company earlier this week warned investors that the company had concerns about liquidity. WeWork ended the second quarter with $680 million in liquidity, which included $205 million in cash. It might sound like a lot, but it's not. For a company that owns 40, I think they owe like $46 billion, something massive. Company's ability to continue as a going concern is contingent upon successful execution of management's plans to improve liquidity and profitability over the next 12 months. Let's see if it says how much debt are we looking at and when is it. The key is how much debt and when is it due. I don't know. I think that their debt is pretty much equal to what the original valuation was. Anyway, I'll get you more on that. WeWork, but keep an eye on this. This is a massive company that's about to go belly up. Probably next week. Keep an eye next week. I think for bankruptcies they do it on Monday mornings, or Sunday nights, but I haven't heard anything. So maybe next week, the end of next week, which is, there's so much going on between now and the end of September. It's insane. So again, as far as GameStop, they were short. Approximately 140% of GameStop's public float had been sold short, and the rush to buy shares cover those positions as the price rose, caused it to rise even further. That's how a short squeeze works. You have to have the short. You can't squeeze unless you have the short. So as far as WeWork, there's no short. It's 3% short of the float. It won't work. Just an FYI there. So don't buy into that. And here's the unseen iceberg under the water. Commercial real estate has been destroyed by not only the COVID, everybody working from home, but everybody liked working from home, so they're staying working from home. And the liberal, crazy Democrats have destroyed the city, so nobody wants to go back to San Francisco, wants to go back into New York, Chicago. They're like, screw that. We're getting the hell out of Dodge, and commercial real estate values are just literally cratering. A lot of the loans, they're just giving the keys back to especially on leases, because a lot of commercial real estate is leased out. They're just walking away from the lease or just giving the keys back saying, I don't want it. And nobody else wants it. So you're talking for a large bank. You notice the large bank didn't do anything since 2017 as far as their commercial real estate debt. The small banks went crazy with it because the large banks aren't doing it. Small banks are, I'm a big player. I can finance this office building. 1.9 trillion is going to be destroyed from, and this has not been, it's been barely talked about by the FDIC. This is an FDIC destroyer too. So not only do you have the unrealized losses in the treasuries, you have unrealized losses in the commercial real estate, but now it's the time when they're going to start to have to say, oh yeah, we lost, 20 billion here, 10 billion here, and these companies just aren't big enough for that. So keep an eye on everything. Crazy time. Again, go buy yourself some Theta, and you can get it through SimpleSwap, which is easy if you have a crypto. And Theta wallets they have a great wallet for your phone for short-term use. You can use a Trezor or a Ledger for long-term storage. And it does run off ERC20 tokens, which is the Ethereum protocol. So the wallets are the same, but don't mix them up. Make sure you learn, go onto YouTube and ask any question you want about Theta, how to set up a wallet and things like that. At some point, Theta will come onto Coinbase after the crash and everything's settled out. And I think Theta will be the number one crypto up there right with Bitcoin. And if Veritasium comes in, who knows? Yes, some of the Theta protocol violates Reggie Middleton's patent. Absolutely. NFTs. We'll see how all this gets sorted out in the future. But if you don't feel comfortable, call up Caleb and Brown. Again, go to affiliates at Road to Ruta, Caleb and Brown. He'll give you all the information you need, and listen to the discussion I had with Jeff Zylstra. Jeff actually retired. I don't know what he's doing now, but there's some great guys there who can help you out. All right? That's what I got for you at Bix Weir, roadtoruta.com. And, of course, go to Road to Ruta. Listen to this 3-part discussion with the head of Silver Eagle Sales. Listen to that discussion. Listen to the 5 reasons that in the discussion he admitted they are breaking the law. He couldn't say that flat out, but I can. So check that out. Yes, I do think Silver Eagle will be the number one form of silver for people in the United States. It'll be money for us. And there's just plenty of evidence pointing that way on the Road to Ruta. Learn more about the Road to Ruta. Put your name and email address in for free updates on the left, and click on subscribe today if you want to get on the private road and find out everything about everything. Bix Weir, I'll talk to you later.